Hey everyone, Skull902 here, and in celebration of Halloween, I'm going to be playing Super Chick Sisters, a Flash game made by PETA in 2007. I'll get into who PETA are a little bit later. This screen just says what the plot is and the controls. Colonel Sanders, evil bastard that he is up to some shit. There's fucking Pamela Anderson, who is one of the playable characters for some godforsaken reason, but we also have the Chick Sisters themselves. Nugget and Chickette will be playing as Nugget for this story. So, immediately off the bat, you can see not only is Pamela Anderson the princess of this weird universe, but she's also like a news reporter. So I guess there's not a whole lot of people here to hold many jobs in this strange land. This is a parody of the Mario games, if the title wasn't any indication, but it also like contains actual depictions of the Mario characters in a style similar to Mario Paint. I remember back in the day when this game got a lot of buzz from a bunch of anti-PETA people, like Big L2K6, for example. Uh, a bunch of people sent letters into Nintendo trying to like get PETA in trouble for the use of their characters, but like it's a parody, so there was really nothing Nintendo could do about it. And I suppose if there's a lesson that could be learned from this video at all, it would be, no matter if it's something or someone or some situation that's bothering you, don't abandon your principles. Uh, you know, I was one of the people that contacted Nintendo, dumbass 14-year-old me, and it's not good. Even if it's something or someone that you don't like, you can't go abandoning your principles. Just don't be like dumbass me, because that's something that I still have to remind myself of to this day. Um, you run into a bunch of NPCs in this game like this. You don't have to talk to them. They all basically say the same thing about, oh, KFC's chickens, poor sensitive beaks, and all that nice stuff. Talking about buckets of blood and chickens being tortured, fun kid-friendly shit. But other than that, like this is a pretty straightforward Mario parody. The little chicks that you collect act as your coins, the nugget boxes, which seem a little hypocritical, act as like a super mushroom. That's the only power up in this game, by the way. You become a super chick sister by getting the nugget box, and it makes you bigger, and it's a hit point. It's an extra hit point, I should say. Um, got these little cutscenes going on, and oh man, I wonder what's going on over there. Oh man, I wonder who might be up to some nasty shit. Also, I love this. I guess PETA took the Smash Bros route of having Dr. Mario and Mario be in the same universe together. I guess, I don't know. It's weird. But speaking of nasty shit, who is PETA exactly? Like, what do they do? Well, PETA stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. They are an animal rights organization, anti-meat industry, anti-fur. They don't like animals being used for entertainment, all that nice shit. But PETA has gained a bit of a reputation for itself by doing some particularly noteworthy things that sets them apart a little bit from other such animal advocacy groups. Like, for example, they've asked Ben and Jerry's to make their ice cream with human breast milk instead of cow's milk. Memorylicious, am I right? They tried to convince people to refer to fish as sea kittens in order to give fish a more positive reputation, whatever the fuck that means. They've waited around at schools to give children comics about how their mommy and daddy kill animals. Man, I really want some chicken right now. But they've also claimed that milk will give you cancer. They've opened animal shelters where they've killed the overwhelming majority of animals that they've taken in. That would be both strays and pets that people had to give up. They've compared the meat industry to the fucking Holocaust. And they've also funded terrorist activity by giving money to Animal Liberation Front members to carry out attacks on research facilities, such as the 1992 attack on Michigan State University. You see what you do to me, PETA? You see what you do? I'm defending Michigan State, for God's sake. God damn. It's horrible. But you know, that's just a small taste of the things that PETA has done in the past. There's a whole lot more. And I'm going to leave in the description the link to an episode of a series I quite like, Penn and Teller Bullshit, about PETA and other animal rights organizations that covers more things that they've done and explains it in a better way than than I just did. But PETA's kind of a crazy group. There's no real no real way of sugarcoating that. They are a special they're a special kind of crazy, um, and have done some outlandish things to get their point across. So on the other side of things, I'd like to talk right now about the villain of this game, Colonel Sanders, who, unlike in the game, seemed like a pretty cool guy in real life. Um, You know, Colonel Sanders had an interesting life. He held many jobs. Like he was very multi-talented apparently. Like you know, he taught himself how to cook on like his farm when his mother had to be away to, you know, do all the work. So that would be like the start of his ability to run a restaurant. But like before he ran a restaurant, he did a whole bunch of shit. He was in the military. Uh, he was like a secretary. He worked on a railroad. He he was a lawyer for a little while, uh, where this job and a couple of other jobs, from what I've read into it, like apparently he's lost a couple of jobs in his uh, due to engaging in brawls. One of which, as a lawyer, was with his own client in the courthouse, which I find amazing. That like Colonel Sanders here, you know, he lost a couple of his jobs from getting into fisticuffs with people, and I just find that amazingly entertaining. Um, but like the whole colonel thing, by the way, uh, he wasn't promoted to colonel in the military. He just so happened to be a friend of the governor of Kentucky, who gave him the honorary title of colonel. So that's where that comes from. I'm not sure if that was before or after he opened a restaurant, um, but in any case, at some point in the 30s, he got like a couple of gas station service centers. I think that's what they called. I don't know. Service stations? I'm not sure, but it, you know, it was like a gas station, but it also had a restaurant on it. And that's where he started perfecting his chicken recipe. So eventually, once he got it down to the way that he wanted, he opened up the first KFC restaurant and franchised a few locations, and then it was bought out by corporate executives who wanted to make it a big national thing. And funny thing about that actually is, you know, they had Colonel Sanders as a spokesman, but they really did not like how he promoted their product. Um, because of the cost of the Colonel's recipe, uh, they had to dumb it down a bit, and this is a guy that would go like on tours to a bunch of KFCs around the United States and in Canada and whatnot. Um, and he would go into KFCs, and like if he didn't like the chicken, he would like tell the employees right to their faces that like what they were doing sucked ass, and like he'd go behind the counter and try to tell them how to make real chicken and shit. This dude was amazing. Colonel Sanders was an amazing man. And it's really unfortunate that he died. He lived a long life, though. He was like 80 years old, I believe. Possibly even more, like 80 or 90 years old. Uh, just an amazing life he led, though. Colonel Sanders was a fucking boss. And he's the final boss of this game, so it all works out. Ha 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 ha. Oh, I'm not funny. Anyway, so back to the actual game here. I go through this, you know, pretty well. This was my second time really running through the game. A few of the levels here are pretty maze-like. And what I mean by that is, like, on your first run through, you're not really gonna know without searching around a whole bunch, unless if you got some really good instinct. You're not really gonna know, like, where to go or what to do. So it can be kind of cryptic in that way, but generally it's pretty fine. Like, first time I beat this, it took me like half an hour, and then when I recorded this Let's Play, you know, it took me a lot less time to do. The only trouble that I had was with the final level, which is where the only cut in this entire Let's Play is going to be. So, you know, it's a pretty nice game. Like, if I had to, you know, give PETA any props, it's they got some people who knew how to make a good Flash game. Like, you know, this is a pretty competent parody of Mario. The only thing that I found took some getting used to or whatever was that like you use the arrow keys to move, which, you know, isn't unusual at all. But up is jump. And usually in these old Flash games, it would be something like the space bar. So that took a little getting used to, but it's really fine. So, you know, for a Flash game made just to, you know, take the piss out of Nintendo, you know, they did a pretty good job. I can say with confidence that this is a good game and is actually worth trying out. If you can, you know, ignore all the propaganda about, oh, poor chickens and whatnot. You know, it's a good one. It's a good one. I see Colonel Sanders getting ready for the final confrontation. There's only 5 levels in the game, so we're getting pretty close to the end. This is something about the depiction of Nintendo characters that I think a lot of people had a problem with. Mario's treated like a fucking asshole. Like, he's a total butt monkey. He's a whoopee, as TV tropes would put it in these games. Look at how everyone treats him. Like, you know, Mario's trying to do the right thing, you know, he's trying to rescue the princess and everything, but everyone just, like, talks down to him or tries to beat him up and stuff. It's really sad. Poor Mario. He didn't deserve any of this. He's a good guy. Just because he rode on Yoshi, he's an asshole? Fuck you. Mario's a good guy. Mario is a good guy indeed. So here we have the final level, which I'm going to presume is a KFC slaughterhouse. You know, because that's a wonderful setting for a children's game. It's a lot worse in the sequel though, which I am going to be covering. But anyway, this level in particular, it gave me some trouble both on my first run through and this one. And yes, there are some crushers here in Simp. I did get crushed in one of the deaths that I had in this. Fuck you. But it is very mazy, more so than some of the other levels. Like, I had passed the point where you're supposed to go down to get to the exit a couple times. But I don't know if it's like the colorization of this level or whatnot, but I didn't notice it, which is weird because I had beaten the game before. I also had some problems with this level when I originally beat the game, but, you know, you'd think after having beaten the game I would have known what the fuck was up. Whatever. But you know, there's a point where you go down one of these chains and then you go through a series of totally not warp pipes, and then you reach the final boss. You know, I didn't see it. I was a confused boy, but thankfully, you all didn't have to sit through me wandering through the level for minutes on end, because with those 2 cuts, which I apologize for getting wrong before, it was 2 cuts, not 1. See, that's the chain you go down, and I don't know why I, like, keep not noticing it whenever I play this, but, you know, whatever. It's fine. We're getting to the final boss now. It's all good. It's all fine. Everything is okie dokie. You know, you just get up to that corner, and there we are. See, look, we're in the boss room now. It's all good. This only takes a couple minutes to beat. I'm not stupid at all. But this is the final boss. Colonel Sanders is wearing his Bowser mask, and he tries to go down at you like, say, like the Spring Yard Zone boss in Sonic 1. And he wants to drag you into that, like, fryer over there so he can turn you into some nice, extra crispy fried chicken. He takes 4 hits. Uh, and it's a pretty easy boss fight. All you got to do really is stand at the one end of the room, and he moves a lot slower than you do. So all you really got to do is just move on through. He doesn't change his strategy at all. He just does the same thing, and eventually he goes down. We're already halfway done with this. There's not really a whole lot to say about this, so I will I will lament a little bit. His Bowser mask fell off on the first hit, so I kind of wanted, like, I was thinking about it, and I think it would have been funny if, like, on the second hit his glasses would have gone, and then, like, on the third hit his mustache would have gone, and then, like, on the fourth hit he's completely powerless without his stash and his glasses. And, is, like, super easy to take out or something, but, it's over. We've saved Pamela Anderson and all the chickens from the evil, dastardly, fisticuffing Colonel Sanders, and, everything is all good. Princess Pam is here to preach to us once again about how poor chickens are tortured by KFC and all that nice shit for a children's game. But yeah, good stuff. Pamela Anderson was locked at the beginning of the game, but with this code you can play as her. We'll be seeing that in just a little bit here. After you beat the game, well, this happens. Mario's confused because he wasn't able to save the day, but what I meant was it tries to connect to a high score server, which isn't up anymore, so it just stalls at this screen until you tell the game to fuck off. So with that in mind, we're going to move on to some extras. The first up is the other chick sister, Chickette. With these extra characters, there's not any difference in gameplay. It's really just another skin. But this is like the Luigi of the chick sisters. And again, it's just basically the same shit. You do all the same things. You get the nugget box, and good stuff. Good stuff. Once again, nothing different, not much to say. I don't know why I included this much footage if I couldn't say all that much. It's the same fucking thing. But now we're going to move on to Princess Pam. And the reason actually why I'm including the end of the level, once again, she's like exactly the same as the others. But I included it at the end because they actually took the time to notice and gave her own cutscenes. Which actually, in my opinion, is a little interesting. So once again, it's the same deal. Princess Pam is exactly the same as the other two, just a different skin. She plays the same and everything, but she does get her own cutscenes, and that's kind of a nice touch to attention to detail, I should say. So yeah. That'll be it for Super Chick Sisters. Once again, it's a pretty competently made Flash game, and I'm surprised by that. But yeah, I'll see you next time for new Super Chick Sisters. Thank you for watching, and have yourselves a wonderful day.